Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Gridiron Junkies official YouTube page. And as always, I'm your host, Rick Horn. If you're already part of the community, welcome back. We're glad to have you. If you are new and you do like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. Just smash that subscribe button, hit the bell so that you get the notifications. I'm going to have tons of content coming up about the NFL. Last week, I just did my way too early predictions on the NFC North. Feel free to check that out. Later this week, I'm going to be posting way too early predictions on the the NFC South, and just tons of more content and tons more about the NFL, the XFL, everything in between. Tons of football content. So if you're a fan of football, you've come to the right place. We have all of the banter, all of the trash talk, all of the action. It's all right here. So like I said, let's try to grow this community into something awesome. Today, I do want to talk about the XFL. I want to continue talking about the XFL because there is still plenty of blood pumping with the XFL. I know a lot of people wrote the XFL off, but we should know by August 8th who the new owner of the XFL is. I know that the official auction is going to be taking place on August 3rd with a post-sale hearing of some sort. I don't remember the official name there, but that is taking place on August 7th. And so August 8th, we should know who the new owner of the XFL is. I know I talked briefly about the rumors being flying around about Disney, potentially coming out and bidding on the XFL. That's still up in the air. That's still merely rumors at this point. And I know there's just north of 20 bidders, if I remember correctly, that are bidding on the XFL. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm definitely excited to figure that out, who it is that wins that bid. And a lot of people were, like I said, writing the XFL off, as just being completely dead and gone forever, but like I've been pounding the drum here, it is important to remember that the XFL filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. I know I've been talking about this a lot, but like I said before, Chapter 11 bankruptcy is not the same as Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which is Chapter 7 is liquidation of all of your assets, whereas Chapter 11 is more or less just redistribution of debt. So obviously, they're definitely looking to bring the XFL back, and it's like I said before, the XFL was an absolute hit. The relaunch was an absolute hit. Tons of fan support, great TV ratings, and overall just a great version of football. It did just like it said it was going to do, reimagine football. And it was great to continue for people like myself. I love watching football. I wish I had it all year round. I don't care whether it's, the NFL. I've started to kind of inch my way into college. I know my wife is a lot bigger fan of college than I am, but just having, professional football in some facet, having that after the Super Bowl was done was nice, and having that different style of play was awesome, and right now we already know that Seattle, St. Louis, and Houston have all been contacted about stadium lease agreements, through the 2021 season and beyond, but now official word has come out that Houston, the stadium where the Houston Roughnecks used to play, at the same stadium where the University of Houston Cougars play at, word has come out that Houston has been in contact with the XFL and has now officially agreed, that they will continue to honor that agreement that they had in place, as far as the stadium lease is concerned. So, presumably for the 2021 season, possibly the 2022 season, depending on how this, coronavirus thing plays out. But there you have it with that. And this is absolutely huge. Like I said, people like myself that have been keeping hopes alive. This is just continuing to lend credence to the fact that the XFL is coming back. It's not an if, it's a win. So it just continues to lend credence to that. And now in other news, it's pretty interesting. The Dallas Renegades have removed their team logo and team name from their team office there in Arlington, Texas, where they had played there at Globe Life Park. And it's interesting to note, right after the league suspended operations, before they actually filed that Chapter 11 bankruptcy, there were some executives from the league still continuing to move towards a 2021 season, and representatives from the league actually reached out to the Alamo Dome down there in San Antonio in hopes to move one of their 8 franchises down there to San Antonio. So obviously when you pair that with the fact that the Dallas Renegades removed their team name and their team logo front. They closed up shop. They're in Dallas or Arlington, however you prefer to look at it. And the fact that there were executives from the league reaching out to San Antonio about relocating a franchise down there. It's definitely fair to assume that the XFL was looking at relocating the Dallas Renegades to San Antonio to presumably make them the San Antonio Renegades. As much trash as you can talk about Dallas, they did well, in the XFL at large, obviously did well. There was plenty of attendance. Attendance wasn't an issue. And you definitely have to tip your cap to the XFL for what they were able to do with Globe Life Park there in Arlington, Texas. If you didn't know, was the home of the baseball Texas Rangers up until this past season. Now, I grew up just about an hour north of Dallas. I was born in St. Louis, grew up about an hour north of Dallas, real close to the Oklahoma border. So I spent quite a bit of time there at Globe Life Park. It's a great ballpark. The problem was, with the baseball season, it just got miserably hot there. So obviously having an indoor facility, to play baseball in the heat of the Texas summer just became brutal, but as far as, the structure of the building, there's nothing. I mean, it's a really nice ballpark, nothing at all wrong with it. So the fact that they were able to take it, from a ballpark to a suitable football facility, I never went to a Dallas Renegades game, but because I'm actually living in San Diego right now. But watching it on TV, I thought that they just did a fantastic job. You could still definitely tell that it was very, very recently a baseball park, but I thought that they did well. Now, with that being said, for the San Antonio fan base, I mean, San Antonio has a rabid football fan base. I mean, Texas in general, football is king down in Texas. In San Antonio, they've definitely supported football teams in the past. I mean, you look back, during Hurricane Katrina when it just absolutely obliterated New Orleans, and the Saints played their home games there in San Antonio. The San Antonio fans absolutely balled out, and they definitely supported the Saints very well. And I know they were pushing to actually make the relocation not temporary, to make it official and to make them the San Antonio Saints. And now, obviously, that didn't end up happening. That did not end up happening, but they were definitely the biggest draw during the short time that the AAF was around. So I can only imagine if you take the XFL style of play, and put it down there in a super foot. I mean, and it's a huge market. San Antonio is huge. So you take the XFL style of play, you put it down there in San Antonio, and I think you definitely have a recipe for a great atmosphere. I think that they could very well be, as far as, fan attendance and just team buzz, I think that they could be right up there with, Seattle and St. Louis. I'm really surprised, like I've said in previous videos, I'm really surprised that the XFL did not place teams in more non-NFL cities. I know St. Louis was obviously the only XFL team or XFL city that did not already have an NFL team as well. So obviously credit to Seattle and Houston. They had great fan support, and obviously DC as well. But St. Louis, got to beat the drum here. Being a St. Louis guy, we definitely had the most fan support out of any team. If you don't believe me, I mean, just go to any of the XFL team's social media pages, and you tell me who has the biggest fan base. But anyway, that's not here or there. I'm not here to talk trash just yet. But all of this to say, I think it would be a great thing for them to move a team to San Antonio. And, and I know I've heard rumors about them relocating other teams around, or maybe expanding the league a little bit. An obvious candidate for me, to relocate would be the LA Wildcats. I don't know why the sports world thinks that Los Angeles is a football town. It's not. It just isn't. I mean, unless you are the Raiders, it's not a football town, and that's, certainly no disrespect to Los Angeles. It's just that the LA Lakers and the LA Dodgers are kings down there, and maybe to a much, much lesser extent, the LA Kings as well, the hockey team. But baseball and basketball are definitely, and certainly basketball. Basketball is king down there in Los Angeles, and it's just not a football market. I mean, if you don't believe me, flip on a Chargers game or even a Rams game. I know that, a lot of people will argue, the Rams, the games that they played at the Coliseum there, they had pretty good attendance numbers. But if you go back and watch the tape from those games, like let's say they were playing the Vikings, that Coliseum was filled mostly with purple. And the same thing can be said about the Chargers in that little soccer stadium that they were playing in. It's just not a football town unless you're the Raiders, So I definitely thought it was not wise for the XFL to put a team there. But you could definitely make an argument for them to move down to San Diego, where the Chargers were pretty well represented and pretty well supported. The only thing that I worry about San Diego as a potential relocation spot is the fact that, and I don't remember the exact details, but I do remember reading that the college, San Diego State, that's who it was, San Diego State University, they had actually purchased the land that occupied the stadium there. I think it's called SDCCU Stadium, where the Chargers used to play. They purchased the land that occupied that stadium, or that stadium occupied rather, and that they're looking to completely tear down that stadium and build a whole new stadium. So I don't know the dates that they're looking at doing that, but certainly it's worth questioning, what that might look like in terms of either expanding the XFL or relocating a team down there to San Diego. But I really wish that the XFL would put more teams in non-NFL cities. Obviously, other than Seattle did a great job of supporting their team, but it remains to be seen what they do with relocation. We'll just have to see what happens. But I do want to shift my attention a little bit to the lawsuit that is going on between now former XFL commissioner Oliver Luck and Vince McMahon. Now, if you remember, Oliver Luck was fired on April 9th, and the XFL suspended operations. They laid off a bunch of their employees, minus like 9 employees. One of them was Jeffrey Pollock, the XFL president. And roughly about a week after Oliver Luck was fired is when he filed his lawsuit against Vince McMahon, the $23.8 million breach of contract lawsuit filed towards Vince McMahon. It's coming out now that lawsuit will not be resolved, according to the Connecticut federal judge that's handling the case, Victor Bolden, until he decides whether or not the league's parent company, Alpha Entertainment, should be added to the case. And that was actually adding Alpha Entertainment to the lawsuit was actually a request made by Vince McMahon and his legal team. And that was a move obviously opposed by Oliver Luck and his team, and he requested that, a pre-judgment remedy would be put in place, which would include having a lien placed on some of Vince McMahon's assets, just to ensure that Vince McMahon would be able to pay Oliver Luck if he wins the lawsuit. Now it's coming out that McMahon's attorneys contend that Alpha Entertainment must be added to the case because only Judge Bolden can determine whether Luck breached the contract with Alpha Entertainment or not. Now, that is to say, if Oliver Luck was fired for just cause, then they contend that Alpha Entertainment legally owes him absolutely nothing. And they further contend that only Alpha Entertainment can provide the records that prove that Oliver Luck was fired for just cause. Now, Oliver Luck has 6 attorneys working on this case, and they contend that adding Alpha Entertainment is absolutely pointless and unnecessary because the guarantee that was signed between Vince McMahon and Oliver Luck was, quote, ironclad. That's a strong word, ironclad. And that it requires Vince McMahon to cover any unpaid compensation allegedly owed by Alpha Entertainment, regardless of whether or not Oliver Luck was fired for just cause. And the argument that Oliver Luck is making is that, the guarantee that McMahon signed was such that he agreed to honor the contract in the event that Alpha Entertainment failed to pay his money. So the money that was owed to Oliver Luck. So obviously the drama continues here. I know in my very first video, at the time that video was made, there were rumors flying around that Vince McMahon was looking to buy the XFL out of bankruptcy. Obviously that's out of the picture now. Vince McMahon is essentially all but out of the picture, pending this auction and obviously pending this lawsuit. But at the time, one of my biggest concerns with the XFL moving forward was, finding a replacement for Oliver Luck to run the XFL. And you have to wonder any potential candidate that they have, to be the XFL commissioner. It's fair to assume that that person, would look at the job opportunity with a raised eyebrow, just based on the drama going on between Oliver Luck and Vince McMahon alone. Based on that drama alone, they'd have to look at it with a raised eyebrow and have to wonder, what their relationship would be with Vince McMahon moving forward. Now, obviously, Vince McMahon is out of the picture. He's come out and said, look, I'm not trying to do any Bush League type stuff like that. I'm not trying to buy the XFL out of bankruptcy, at bottom dollar. That's not a thing. They're actually trying to make a legitimate sale of the league, and try to obviously recuperate as much money as possible with that sale. But I think I still have some of those concerns. I know, like I said, we're going to find out who the new owners of the XFL are by August 8th. But I still worry about, you still have to wonder, that potential candidate to become the XFL commissioner would still have to wonder, and still, Oliver Luck, he was a good guy. I mean, Oliver Luck is looked at, like I said before in my last videos, Oliver Luck is looked at, as kind of a stand-up guy. Certainly, with a laundry list of accolades in the sports world, as a sports administrator, with the NCAA, and obviously he carries some name value with his time as the quarterback of the Houston Oilers and his son Andrew Luck, so tons of name value there, but so they would definitely look at it with a raised eyebrow, or at least it's fair to assume that they would look at it and maybe with just a little bit of hesitation there, and not only that, but you have to wonder again the quality of replacement that they'd be getting, with Oliver Luck, the type of person, the quality of candidate, the quality of commissioner that they would be getting, as a replacement for Oliver Luck. Definitely a tough sell there. I mean, that's a very big pair of shoes to fill. So I still carry those concerns. And another concern of mine now with, there being new ownership, I expressed in my last video, when I talked about there being rumors about Disney purchasing the XFL. Well, regardless if it's Disney or somebody else, a huge concern of mine would be, what are they going to do with the brand of the XFL, the presentation of the XFL, the atmosphere, the fan interaction, the fan inclusion. I would definitely say that a new commissioner, would carry those same concerns for me. So we'll just have to see what happens with that. Hopefully they don't change the XFL a whole lot. When it does come back again, it's not if, but when it does come back, but it's obviously it's up in the air. I mean, this is anybody's guess. I'm making these videos, because I like talking about this stuff. I like talking about football, and certainly I enjoyed the XFL a lot. I'll even go on record and say I actually enjoyed the XFL style of football more than I did the NFL. And if you disagree with that, that's totally your opinion. I still like the NFL, but that's neither here nor there. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you guys think that San Antonio is in the books for the XFL? Would you like to see a team in San Antonio? What are some of the other cities that you would like to see the XFL place? What other non-NFL markets, or hell, even NFL cities? What are some other cities you would like to see an XFL team? What other concerns other than just the branding, the presentation of the XFL? What are some of the other concerns you have with the new XFL ownership? Let me know in the comments below. And again, if you like this video, smash that subscribe button. Be sure to subscribe, hit the bell, get the notifications, the whole 9 yards. The like button is absolutely free. So yeah, anyway, guys, great talking to you. We hope to hear from you soon, and we'll talk to you guys later. Take care.